Hey guys, it's Chelsa Messenger with Picks and Parlays. We're talking college football, the big one, the college football national championship game between Ohio State and Alabama. It's wild card weekend in the NFL, and we've got a special promo code. The code is WILD for 20% off the entire site at picksandparlays.net. Alabama is favored at the time -7.5, and the total is 75 or 75.5, depending on where you get it. Obviously, Ohio State riding high after that huge win over Clemson in the semifinal, and then Alabama cruised to a win over Notre Dame. But they didn't cover. Notre Dame backdoor covered it at the last minute. So this is a relatively big spread for a national championship, 7.5. But this is a really good Alabama team. We've got Nick from the Insiders Room to talk about this one. And we're talking about this early in the week, so maybe this number moves, and hopefully there's no COVID stuff going on. But Nick, what's your take on the national championship game?
So when we get down to these championship games, I think obviously the lines get sharper and sharper. And all of us, we're all going to have varying opinions on both the side and total in these sorts of standalone big games. So my take on this one, Chelsea, I'm going to roll with the Tide. I think that Alabama is the more complete team through all three phases. The Buckeyes, they're a really good team. They finished 7-0, but the Crimson Tide, they were 12-0. When you think of Ohio State, the first thing that comes to mind, obviously, is Justin Fields. He's completed 73% of his passes, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Fields has plenty of talented receivers. He's got a really strong running game. That's probably the strongest point of Ohio State's offense. Trey Sermon, he leads the ground attack for Ohio State, averaging almost 276 yards per game. The one weak spot this year, though, Chelsea, for Ohio State, and it's not that big of a weakness, but for its lofty standards, it was on the defensive side of the ball. They allowed 21 points per game this year. So as good as Fields is this year, though, I like Mac Jones a little bit more. He had 3,730 yards passing. He had 32 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions. And they also have a really great running back in Najee Harris. He leads a ground attack that averages almost 190 yards per game. And overall, Alabama allows 19.5 points per game. While the Buckeyes steamrolled Clemson last time out, I just don't think the field's going to be able to keep pace with Jones here. And so, Chelsea, that is my best play here. I'm going to roll with Alabama. Roll Tide, roll.
Wow, you sound super enthusiastic. I think the people in Alabama are going to be, a little upset because usually people in Alabama, they say it with conviction. A lot of Alabama fans that are very passionate, and for a reason. Alabama, man, offensively, they are just so much fun to watch. And it looks like Jalen Waddle could be back for this game. He's back at practice. He's one of their best receivers. And that's saying a lot because their receiving talent is out of this world. Devontae Smith, my goodness, he might be the first receiver to win the Heisman in a long time just because he's been so impressive. Mac Jones at one point was the favorite to win the Heisman, but now it's Devontae Smith just because he's been making video game catches. So when it comes to this offense, pick your poison when it comes to Alabama. And something I'm looking at is Alabama in the first half. Their total for their first half points, 20.5. You know how many times they've scored 21 points in the first half of games? Every single game this season but one. Against Georgia, they scored 20.
Wow.
So I think that might be a good play if you aren't too sure about a side. I think Alabama should be able to score at will, especially against this Ohio State secondary. That is really their key weakness when it comes to their defense. Last year, they had all kinds of talent on their secondary, led by Jeff Okudah going third overall in the NFL draft. But this season, it's been a different story, and Alabama can certainly throw the football. I think they can get 3 touchdowns in the first half. What I don't know is this Ohio State offense, what we're going to see. If it's an overreaction to think that they're going to score a lot of points in this one, because Clemson's defense was not that good. Trey Sermon ran wild. He has 524 rush yards in his past 2 games. And I'm wondering what Justin Fields is going to feel like. As you remember, he took a huge hit in that game. I'm wondering how his ribs are going to feel. Any other X factors you're looking at in this one?
What I am looking at this big championship game is releasing a play on the total here, Chelsea. And so I'm not going to give a lean on the total in this one, But I will suggest that everyone, if they want to go over to picksandparlays.net, they can find me at the Insiders Room there. My official play on this one, I like the Tide. I think that they're the more complete team here. That offense, as you said, just pick your poison. It's just so potent. I think that they're just going to be too much for Ohio State to keep up with down the stretch. But yeah, I do have a big play on this total as well over at Picks and Parlays.
Yeah, what scares me about Alabama is some of their against the spread numbers when it comes to the postseason. They have not been good in their last 4 bowl championship appearances. 0-4 against the spread when we're talking about covering a number, and then 2-5-1 against the spread when favored by a touchdown or less. So I don't think you should ever bet a game just based on some trends, but some things that you should probably be aware of. And on the flip side, Ohio State has been good when catching points, especially more than a touchdown. 11-2 against the spread in their last 13 as an underdog of at least a touchdown or more. But we're talking about one game here, so I don't think you should base a bet on that alone. But it should be a good one, and I'm excited to watch it. That's going to do it for our college football talk here on Picks and Parlays. As always, great stuff from Nick from the Insiders Room. Nick, thanks for joining us.